Hey guys, how's it going? Coach Tyson from Strength, and just a very random thought when we were shooting one of our videos, talking with Ojas, talking with some of my clients, and these are the things that you might be missing out in your training, and this could be sabotaging on your progress a lot. So 3 things I want to talk about that could instantly make you a better powerlifter. So before I start this video, I just want to clear things out because I'm not directly pointing at one particular lifter or some of my clients, because this is like a common error that everybody makes, including Ojas, Neha, and all of our other friends at Ox, myself included. But this is something that I've spoken to many of my clients too, and they might feel like I'm directly referring to themselves, but then it's not. It's very, very general, and I think this goes to all the powerlifting population, because last few years that I've noticed, like every time I go into a powerlifting gym or I meet a new powerlifter, these are basically like the same complaints that I hear every single time, and I cannot actually apprehend where that is coming from, because I have a slightly different thought process in my head as to how I approach these things. But then just to be sort of like part of the community, I just make a small talk on this topic, like today I'm not feeling good, or like the equipment isn't really good, my leverages are bad, my shoulders hurt, my hips hurt, something around those lines. Like this place I could do better, but today this and this happened. Today this happened, so that and that happened. So something like this, and I'm sure if you're a powerlifter, you can really relate to that. So I'm gonna break this up into 3 parts. So the first part is not taking your warm-ups seriously enough. So what I mean by this is, as powerlifters, we want to get to the top set, and we have a specific type of a concept that this top set is going to be like this. So let's say I have a top set of squat today at 245 kgs for a triple, and in my head that is supposed to move easy. I should have gotten stronger by now, I should have been ready by now, and then I go to do the top set and my belt feels really awful, or like my back feels really achy, or my hips feel really sticky, and then I feel like the bar is wobbling a bit too much after the top set. But these are some of the things that you can feel by the time you lie down in the foam roller, or by the time you're already coming to the gym. If you're feeling a bit beat coming into the gym, if your back feels a bit sore from driving too much, then these are the things that you need to consider when you're warming up. If you can try and free those things up, if you could eat a little bit better to make sure that your gut isn't too big. So these are the things that we need to address before we come into the gym. Even though if we've done all of the things correctly and then we're coming into the gym, then maybe we might want to manage that expectation of that 245 triple being not an 8 but a 9 or a 10, or maybe we might want to drop a little bit of a load. So those are the things that you need to consider. But after that, when we get into the barbell, also we feel a lot of different things that is going around with our body. Obviously, we are going to feel the weight being heavy on our back. So what could be the problem that is affecting our ability to squat efficiently, as good as last week or even better? That is already in our head. So what we want to do is we want to find what is working for us in the warm-up sets. So let's say I work up to 170 kgs, and then a 170 isn't feeling as usual. So what I would typically do is I would retake the 170 again, just to see if it is a warm-up thing, or maybe the movement is incorrect for me, and maybe I can come up with a few things why 170 isn't moving the way it should. So generally I look at center of mass management, which we talk a great deal about in our programming system. I see if some of my body parts are stiff, if my back is a bit too achy, how do I manage the back? Do I need to have it more retracted, or if I want to have it more protracted? Now when we talk about these things, then the video is going to be long, so we'll keep it short. But with our in-house clients, we talk about these things. Are we exposing the hips a bit too much with our back behavior, or our pelvis behavior, our pelvis movement? Are we forcing our hips to go into a more stretched position or a more tucked in position? So these are things that we could manage during our warm-ups. And this goes to show even more for the deadlift, because our starting position changes with our gut at the same time. So these are things that we need to warm up, while most of the lifters do not think of all of these things because they want to, I don't know what the thought process in their mind is, but when I just observe, I just look at lifters taking light weights too easily. Like, it's just 170, I can't do it any other day. I'm a strong lifter, so I just do 170 and then I'll just do 210 and then I'll just go for my top set. But then when you reach the top set, you haven't thought about all of the things that we've talked about previously. So when you hit the top set, then it suddenly comes to realization that, oh no, this is a hard set. But in our head, what we've thought is, by the time we hit top set, by the time we hit game day, it should be there on game day. By the time I hit my top set, it should just magically be there, and that's not going to happen. So we have to manage more things behind the scenes before we actually go for our top set, so that those excuses that you make after the top set, those should be your thoughtful questions before you hit the top set. Now, if you have a coach or if you have somebody more experienced working with you, then you can ask, I felt this certain way, how should I approach my warm-ups? Or after the session, maybe when this things happen next time, when my back feels a bit stiffer next time, or if my hips feel a bit more stiffer next time, or if my gut feels a bit, how would you adjust it? So these are the types of questions that you should have as a lifter if you want to really improve as a lifter, basically, and not have the excuse as an excuse to not do better. It doesn't paint a perfect picture, but then a wide general thought to consider. And while I'm at it, if you are really confused about what we're talking here, or like how you can be a better lifter, then we obviously have one-on-one coaching with myself and our entire team, and even customized training templates where you can ask very interesting questions on our Facebook group as well, and we will try and help you with your problems. And we're also doing monthly seminars, which we obviously posted on our Facebook group, but at the same time, we also try and invite some of you guys here to learn with us. So that's some of the things that you can do, obviously, to get a better lifter. Second thing is that we're not really taking, again, it comes down to not taking things seriously enough. So last time we talked about, when we made the video, 3 things to become a successful powerlifter, I talked mostly about you not pushing your accessories hard enough. And I would want to reiterate a little bit that accessories are meant to be pushed, and we choose those sort of accessories that doesn't really tax our body. So I don't want to squat and then after that go into a hack squat, which is really taxing. I would choose hack squat, but maybe for somebody who lacks muscle mass or something around those lines, and they would really benefit from the extra muscle mass. But we want to push all the accessories that are prescribed to you, and obviously choosing the right accessories makes a huge difference, and you really want to push that. But another thing when it comes to accessories is that we're not taking it seriously, in a sense that how are we trying to get the desired outcome from this accessory to our main lift. Sometimes as a coach, I don't program accessories just because I have to, or just because of hypertrophy, but to manage some of the restrictions, or you can say restrictive constraints, so that it makes you a better lifter. So one thing is, a big example is that if I want my athlete to have a more protracted shoulders, or they have a problem of overextending and using too much of their hamstrings, and then the core brace isn't proper, I will obviously talk about the technique used and all of those things, but maybe sometimes I'm also using a movement like a front squat to solve that issue, because a front squat forces you into a more of a protracted state, and then you have to basically be in a more stacked position for your body to not go into all sort of pain. But what lifters will do is that they will still keep their bad behaviors of bad low bar squat into the front squat, and then that isn't really making them any better of a lifter. Another example is that I might use a close grip bench press or an incline bench press just so that they can keep their elbows under the barbell for the entire range of motion, and I am basically teaching them how to keep the barbell under your elbows, under your wrist, through different movements, but we're still trying to really arch up the upper back and squeeze, flare out our elbows or whatever it may be, and that is not carrying over to the movement. Now that could be the coach's fault too, but at the athlete's end, you want to ask your coach as to why this accessory is programmed. How do you want us to approach it, and how can that help you with that restrictive constraint that your main lift is going to be better. So these are things. For deadlift, let me give one more. So for deadlift, normally what I would do for, let's say, a conventional deadlifter is have them do RDLs, but it isn't just what I may do for a sumo deadlifter is to have a RDL, but that isn't mainly to just develop the hamstring. That is a integral part of obviously muscle hypertrophy, and that's going to lead to a better sumo deadlift. But I'm also trying to push the hips socket back really a lot, and then sumo deadlifters and just squatters or just powerlifters are not generally very good hip hingers. So if I'm forcing them to go into a more hinged position by pushing the hip socket back, then that can allow them to get into a better position even in the sumo deadlift, and that could go for staggered stance, split squats, all of those movements. So trying to basically understand why the exercise is there, and if you have the idea of why the exercise is there, then maybe it can visualize you to be a better lifter in the main lift as well, if that makes any sense. And yeah, and obviously with a more directly related exercise such as a pause squat for the squat. So what we're trying to look at in a pause squat, it could be a multiple of different reasons why your coach has prescribed a pause squat. Let me just give a few examples for a pause squat. So maybe your center of management isn't good, so you're forced to find a proper position at depth, because if you don't find a proper position and you're holding the pause squat in a very awkward position, then you will be punished by the weights because it's just going to be too heavy. Or maybe your coach wants you to start to descend slower when you get closer to the hole. So a pause squat will naturally make you think like when you're about to hit the hole, you need to slow down, so your movement pattern continues. Or maybe even a tempo squat, then you want to feel the center of mass through the entire range of motion. Or if you feel like you're shifting away from laterally or sideways, then that could help you reach awareness, because if you're slowly starting to shift that way, you can have more awareness. And this goes for all the other exercises. Now I can sit down and talk about every single exercise and every single exercise and how I would program for my clients, but that would be another 2 hours video. But so I would just stop at that. But then whenever your coach or whenever your template has an exercise that is prescribed to you, then it needs to have a backup, or it needs to have its backing as to why it's there. And that's another reason why we talked about templates suck, because they don't have a back support, and that is when you can directly get our templates, and then you have unlimited feedback opportunities as well. So if you have a coach, just keep asking a coach why, how do you want to execute this movement. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on this topic, and hopefully this helps you improve your lifting and then thought process a little bit better when it comes to execution of the movement. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like the video, make sure you like it. If you want coaching from myself and anyone from our team, the links are all in the description down below. Customized training templates, everything that you want in terms of fitness is in our website, and we will see you in the next one. Until then, be strong.